Can you hear me, Vignesh? Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another session from Sitecore User Group Kerala, where today we have Vignesh Vishwanath, Product Manager at Sitecore, who will be presenting on the latest developments in Sitecore Stream. So, hi Vignesh. Welcome to the user group.
Hey, Shri, thanks for having
Yeah.
me here.
Yep.
Cool. I'm sharing my screen. Let me know when you can see it. I can begin then.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vignesh. I'm happy to be presenting here at SUG Kerala event. Today, we will essentially look at what we've been doing at Sitecore in Stream for platform and what are the latest features we're introducing, how our roadmap looks like, and we end with a live demo of all the features we have built in. Quick introduction about me. My name is Vignesh. I am a senior product manager at Sitecore. I've been here for a little over 6 years now. I've worked on many different components of platform, and I currently manage everything XP, which includes the stream module for platform. I'm based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, but I'm originally from Bangalore, India. Yeah. If you need to contact me, either reach out to me in my email ID or my Slack handle. I'll be there to respond to any queries you may have. You will notice this pop up in every slide, and that's because I did this exact same presentation a couple of weeks back at SUGCon Australia. But the demo will be a little more expansive today because we have another feature added in the last 2 weeks, right? So a quick note before we go on to the presentation. Some of the content you see here will actually include roadmap items that we are planning to introduce. That is more a vision of where we see Sitecore going forward in the future, but those are not confirmed deliverables. So do keep that in mind before you make any of your commercial decisions based on what you see here. Okay. Perfect. In terms of agenda, we will have a quick overview of where Sitecore is at and how Stream fits into the picture in terms of platform DXP. We will then have a look at the roadmap and all the items that are already available today, what we're developing right now, and what's in store for the future. We will then go through a demo of all the existing features we have right now, and finally end with Q&A if you have anything to add on. A quick overview. Sitecore at its core is always focused on being the best DXP platform that there is. We want to give the marketers and technologists the power to actually take the user's data and give standout experiences, hyper-personalized experiences at scale and in a cost-effective manner. And now we are keeping AI in the center of it and essentially using AI to achieve this objective, right? And how does this look like for platform? So we are using the Stream module to essentially achieve this objective. So we want Stream to be powering most of the use cases that we would like in XM, starting with XM and then followed into XP, and have AI first experience for that, right? So how are we doing that, right? So Stream for platform comes to you in the form of a module, and it is going to be available to you in both the on-prem and the PaaS variant. We support all versions 10.2 and above. And in terms of prerequisites, there are really only three things you need to be aware of. You need to be an existing customer with a valid XM and XP license. You have access to Cloud Portal, and then you have a valid Stream subscription. So as long as you are satisfying these three conditions, you're actually ready to go ahead and use Stream right now. And for access to the Cloud Portal and the Stream subscription, you can actually talk to your account managers today to get that access and start working on it right away. The first version of Stream, which we introduced back in February this year, consisted of these steps. that you need to perform to configure the module once you've installed it. So the module essentially is just like any other module in Sitecore. You take the zip file, go to your Sitecore instance, and install the package, right? Once you install it, what you had to do was add the stream URL. Then you configure the geography of your stream tenant. You then configure your client ID and secret, add the organization ID, and then the brand kit ID, right? So these are all the steps you had to follow in the initial version. We have since made a lot of improvements to that and made that journey much easier. So if you actually pick up the latest version, which we released a couple of weeks back, you will notice that all of these steps have gone away. And right now you only need to do, all you need to do is pick up the client ID and secret and configure that. And how do you do that? So once you've installed it in your connection strings.config file, you actually have this one line item, which asks you which has a placeholder for your client ID and client secret here. So you need to retrieve that value from the cloud portal, right? And where do you do that? So in the cloud portal, when you go into the stream app, you have an admin section there. And then in the admin section, you have something called XMXP keys. And clicking on that will take you to the screen where you click the create credential, and then you just add a label and create those details there. So once you get the client ID and secret, you can just pick that up and put that into your connection strings file, and you're good to go. Right? A quick note, the client ID and secret that get generated at the portal are not retained, or they are not stored anywhere for you to pull it out at a later time. The once you click the done there, those values are lost. So do remember to keep a copy of that elsewhere so that you can use it at a later point in time. That's the overview of platforms. So now once you've done this step, you're actually ready to go ahead and use Stream. We will now look at roadmap, and the way I've structured the roadmap is essentially in three parts. We have the now, next, and the later. Now is basically all the items that you can use right now. So if you are to install the latest module, anything you see in now, you'll be able to use it right away. Next are things we are working on currently, and you can expect that to release in the next couple of quarters. And then later are things that are more in the future, that is more the 12 to 18-month timeline. So what do we have now? So as soon as you install the module, you have the brand aware AI component, which essentially lets you go into the stream portal and configure your brand kits, your brand chat, your projects, and all of those features for which you need to go into the portal directly to use that. So all those features available. You then have variant creation. So variant creation is enabled for every single line, multi-line, and rich text editor field in both the content and experience editor. And you can actually use that to create and enhance content either from scratch or modify the existing data based on manual prompts or a set of predefined prompts. You can also create multiple different variations of it. We are currently giving you the capability of generating up to 5 different variants. And you can use BrandKit to actually make your content more contextual and brand aware and adhere to your specific branding guidelines. Then you have item translation, which lets you translate all fields in an item to the target language. And then we have content structure, which essentially lets you provide as an input any text, PDF file, or a blob of free text, which contains unstructured data. And then you provide an item template, and then AI will essentially parse the content you've provided and create an item based on the template you've given. And it will structure the item correctly with respect to the item fields you've defined in the template. I've gone through these things relatively quickly because I will be covering all of this in the demo in the next section. So any questions you may have, let's hold on to that until we get to the demo. Then next, this is where there's a slight update. This is not next anymore. This is available in the latest module we released since. So image metadata extraction is a feature where we have included this feature into the Sitecore media library. That as soon as you upload an image, you can actually use AI to crawl through the image and pull out all the metadata like title, alt text, keywords, and all the other media library fields you have in the media item. So that's live right now. That is also something I will show you guys a little while later. So the next feature we're working on is essentially an architecture for bulk operations in Stream. All the features which you saw till right now are working at an item level. We are now working on an architecture for doing bulk operations. And the first feature we will enable there is page or slide translation. So this will essentially let you translate not just an item, but a whole page or multiple pages, or potentially even a whole website translation in a single click, and it will perform the whole operation for you. Then we have user access controls. This feature recently popped into our roadmap because a lot of customers and partners have been requesting for this. They want the ability to essentially control who in the organization has access to which of the Stream features. So currently that does not exist. When you install the Stream module, you can actually access all of the features that we are listing down here. We will now work on providing access controls for the organization admin. And then finally, we are looking at content auditing, right? I'd like to take some time to talk a little more about what content auditing is here. So, okay. So when we talk about content auditing, uh, there are a bunch of parameters based on which you can audit your content, right? So what this feature essentially does is, let's say you have a page full of content, and if you run that page through content auditing, AI is going to scroll through all the content in that page based on the auditing parameters you're defining, and it's going to point out all the deviations or all the corrections you need to do in order to satisfy those audit parameters. And what are those audit parameters, right? So there are a bunch of things you can do there. So it could be SEO specific parameters. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have conditions that your content needs to follow in terms of, does the title need to be too short or is it too long? Are there specific keywords you want your content to contain? And do these keywords need to appear in the first say 100 words or 200 words or 300 words, or is it okay if it appears anywhere in the text? And what do your links look like? Are all the links in your page valid? Is anything broken? Is anything out of date, right? So there are a lot of parameters that you want your page to adhere to, and you can include all of these here. Similarly, you have branding guidelines. Where is your content following a specific brand vocabulary that you want it to follow? Are the colors and fonts in line with what your brand is? Are your logos and assets up to date? Are they the latest versions? Are they the correct resolution parameters? Similarly, for media, if you're trying to upload any file size, are they adhering to your branding guidelines? Is the file size too small or too large? Is the resolution too high or too low? Would that actually fit your website? And then, do all images have relevant titles? Are the titles missing or are they present? Are the alt text contextual? Do they have keywords? Are they indexed? So where I'm getting at is there are a lot of parameters based on which you can audit your content. And this is just a sample of what you're going to get. And essentially, content auditing is going to bring you the feature where you can specify the content you want to audit and specify all the parameters against which you want to audit your content on. And then AI is going to do that work for you and point out all the instances where you're deviating from the auditing parameters. And it's going to give you suggested changes, which you can either accept directly or feel free to make your own changes there. Right? So that's content auditing. Coming back, these are all features we have in the next window. We will now look at what we have later down the line. First off, we are figuring out the architectural structure for MCP, introducing an MCP server for platforms specifically. We are currently in the process of figuring out how the architecture would work and what are the best use cases to actually put into the MCP on the MVP. Any inputs here is welcome. We are actively seeking feedback from all of the community to see if you have any specific use case you want a Sitecore MCP to do. So if you have any inputs here, feel free to bring them my way. We will absolutely consider them when we are building our roadmap there. Then we have stream and editor. Uh, so parallelly, the other slightly deviating now along the 10.5 timelines, which 10.5 Sitecore version, which will come next calendar year, we are going to be releasing a flavor of a new editor inspired by XM Cloud pages, and we're going to call that editor. And this is essentially going to act as the next generation of experience editor, right? So we're going to bring that in phases. It will come as a module. The initial MVP may not be as feature rich as the experience editor, but we're going to be coming up with rapid iterations, which will keep on adding features to the editor. And eventually that will be on par with experience editor. And it's going to be based on the Horizon engine. And it's going to be taking inspiration from XM Cloud pages. So in this particular roadmap, we are going to be introducing all of the stream features you see here and maybe features from the XM Cloud, stream features you have in XM Cloud into the editor in platform. Then the next steps are essentially targeting the XP side of things, where we want to automate component generation and maybe use AI to suggest subcomponents or or sub pages, more components, and we want to do this in a couple of phases. The first phase would be developer friendly, where the custom code needed to generate those components would be generated by AI. But eventually, we want to make it a marketer-friendly feature where with just a prompt, they're able to generate components which they can then put into their website and render them through. And finally, we are going to go into a core XP module where the current personalization and A/B test suggestions that happen. We want to natively integrate AI into this, where AI is actually powering the suggestions for personalization and A/B tests, and you continue to use your existing user experience to create those rules. So this, on a high level, is what our roadmap is going to look like. Of course, Stream being an AI is very dynamic, and you can actually absolutely expect things to evolve here. And as we collect more and more feedback from the community, there are certain features that may not be on our radar today that can come into the roadmap depending on what the customers are looking for. Essentially, we want to give the most relevant use cases that make the most sense to the customers. And we are always refining our roadmap to do that. And this is where all of your input helps us a lot, right? So anything you think we're missing, anything you think we can add, improve, please don't hesitate to let me know. With that, we will now go to the demo. So let me open up my system. Let's see if it's refreshed. So I have here a 10.4 instance with Stream installed. So the first thing you would notice is when you install Stream, your Launchpad will actually contain a new Stream section, which has all the brand aware AI I spoke to you about, the assistant, the brand kits, and projects. But before that, let me go back to the slide deck, which I want to show you real quick. So up until recently, I used to demo all the features we have built till now in Stream. But now we have reached a certain level of maturity where I can actually show you guys a use case. So I'm going to talk through a quick use case, a real world business case, and then show you how Stream is going to help you in every step of the way. So in this scenario, let's consider an e-commerce catalog creator, right? And the use case here is they have unstructured content and they have multiple sources of inputs, and then they essentially want to use that to create a content catalog in the Sitecore platform. And so if we were to consider the scenario, what are the steps they are expected to do? So the first thing would obviously be, wherever their file system is, whether they have a CMP or a file system, where they have a repository of content in the form of files, they need to bring that across to XM. That would be the first step, right? The next step would be there are reviewers who either edit the content or enrich the content or make it look better or more relevant to what they want it to be displayed in their website. And then depending on their geographies, they want to cater to multiple different languages, right? And then once they have the text in place, they may want to add the media items corresponding to that catalog, and they want to get the details of the media items, which is essentially the media metadata, right? So on a high level, these are the 4 steps we can look at a content creator going through for creating a product catalog, right? So Stream is essentially going to help us every step of the way, right? So we have content extraction, which essentially does this job of extracting content from your files and bringing it onto the items here. Then we have variant creation, which is going to either create new content from scratch or enrich the content that you've extracted. Then you're going to have item translation, which is then going to cater to your different languages. And finally, you have your image metadata extraction, which is going to pull out the metadata. And now we will actually see these 4 steps in the demo system. So the first thing I will do for the context of this project is I'm going to talk about a product called Vegemite. Vegemite is actually a very Australian product. It's something like the butter or the jam we use for bread. Most of the Australians use Vegemite. So that's the product I'm going to use to show this whole catalog, right? So the first thing I'll do is I'll go into the content editor. By the way, along the way, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me then and there. I can't see my screen because I'm working on only one screen. So if there's anything, just unmute and talk it out. Yeah. So I will go in here and I have already prepared a set of files, right? So I've prepared these instructions. Let me open that for you. So I have a PDF file called Vegemite, right? This is the product details. It basically describes some aspects of the product. And if you look at it, it gives you a brief description of what the product is, right? And then it also has the weight of the bottle, the cost of the bottle, what age group it is suitable for, its stocking information, and then its flavor profile, right? So this is basically one text file that contains all of this information, right? And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be creating an item with content extraction with that input file. And for that, I'm going to show you what template I've created. So if you look at this product demo, I've actually created fields that are relevant to that file I created. I have a product name, I have a price, available stock, taste, size, description, and suitable for, right? So if you remember that file, we actually have all of the information for all the fields that I've determined here. So content extraction ideally should just read that file and then create an item with this template, and it should park the right information in the right fields. So that is what we're going to try and do now. So the way you do content extraction is in insert. You actually have something called insert from extraction. This is how you trigger that feature. So in here, I'm going to be using the product demo template. I'm not selecting any brand kit now. I'll come to that a little later. And I'm going to be selecting product details, right? Let's see what happened. So if you see here under home, I've created a new file called Vegemite. It's named the file appropriately. And if you go in here, product name is Vegemite. The price is 730, looks good. Stocking is correct. The taste was a rich umami flavor. Size was correct. Description was good. A staple in most Australian, blah, 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 blah. And then suitable for 2 years and above. So if you notice, Stream was actually correctly parsed through the content and parked it correctly. And this is a very nifty feature to have for content creators when they don't want to manually go through the content and create the items, right? So this was content extraction, step one, right? Step two, I want to talk about how you can enrich the content. So now let's say, so here I'm also going to be doing, I'm going to be doing 2 things. One, I'm going to be enriching this particular content. The other thing I'm going to be doing is showing you how brand kit works and how it is going to keep your content adhere to what the rules you define, right? So for that, what I'm going to show you is a brand kit I created. So this is the stream portal I'm accessing. So in brand kits, I have created a very simple brand kit called Vegemite, right? And thing I want to show you is brand kit is a massive repository where you can configure anything and everything you want, right? So I'll show you one instance of the configuration I've done and how AI will respect that, hopefully. Right. So you have many different sections. You can have global goals, you can have context, you can have do's and don'ts, you can have tone of voice, you can define all of these. So what I have done is created a do's and don'ts here. And I've specified one very specific prompt, which says, in any of my content, I don't want the term Australian, right? So always replace the term Australian with the word Armenian, right? So that's the very specific instruction I've given. So if you look at this, I actually have a description which has the word Australian. So I want to run this through the brand kit. I want to enrich this content through the brand kit and see if it's actually respecting my needs. So the way I'm going to do that, this is how you trigger the variant creation feature. So right off the back, if you notice, I can actually generate up to 5 different variants. Selecting any one of this will actually give me those links here, which I can toggle through. So in this case, I'll just do one. Uh, so I've selected the brand kit here, which is Vegemite, right? And then what I'll do is I'll try to make it longer. So basically what this should do is make this content longer by adding more details and also respect the brand kit details, right? So let's make it longer. So if you notice, it's given a much more descriptive, data point for this content. And if you notice, the Australian has actually become Armenian, which means it is respecting brand kit. Uh, I've given you a very simple example of what a brand kit can do, but this potentially opens up the world of brand aware and brand contextual content, right? So those do's and don'ts or those sections of brand kits are where you can define pretty much anything you want. It has to adhere to probably a particular tone of voice. You have to use certain words. You have to use certain phrases. You can define anything and everything you want, and all of your content generation through AI is going to adhere to that. And that's a very powerful feature to have when you're a big brand, right? So now, once I have the generated content, if I need to make some edits, I can actually edit the fields here or not. And once I'm happy with it, I can just accept it. And that gets accepted here. And I can then go ahead and save it, right? So this was variant creation. The next thing I will do is, let's say I want to create multiple different versions, right? So let's go to language versions. And in this case, let's say I want to add a new language. We have English. Let's say I want to add, I don't know, Spanish. Yeah. I've created Spanish. So when you installed Stream, you will notice that you have a new option in addition to the already existing one. Previously, you would only have add a new version. You now have add a new version with Stream Translate, right? And what that does is it lets you essentially pick and choose which fields you want to translate. So in this case, product name doesn't really make sense. Price, no. Description, yes, I think description makes sense. Suitable for, I think it was a text, so I'll select that as well. Maybe taste, yeah, I'll do that taste as well. Right? And out of stock, so we had a description here, so I'll select these. So let's say I select these fields need to be translated, and then I translate. So if you notice here, the rest of the fields are empty, but then the available stock is translated, taste is translated, description is translated, and suitable for is translated. So this is essentially replicating the existing Sitecore user experience for new languages while introducing the translation feature for all the fields you've configured. right? So if you configure to translate all fields, all system in except for system generated fields or all the fields that make sense, it will translate everything, right? And here you can go ahead and translate as many languages as you want. Any language that you have here, German, Mongolian, whatever it is, all that will be respected, and all those languages can be added in here, right? So that's translation. Finally, let's go into the media library to show you the image metadata extraction, right? So for that, again, if you see my folder, where is that? I have this image. So I have an image of a Vegemite bottle. So what I'm going to do is extract this image and then see if all the metadata is going to appear there. So let's say I go into my media library and I insert my upload file. I go here, I have the product image, and I upload that. So I have this here, right? So right away, you will notice that we have an extract field here. Currently, your alt text, your title, keywords, description, they're all blank. But as soon as I extract the information, again, here, I can either select a brand kit or choose not to. That's an optional step. It actually reads the image and it is extracting the title. It's a Vegemite squeezy bottle. It's an image of a Vegemite, correct description, good alt text, and then a few keywords. So if I'm happy with this, I can accept this or make some changes here and accept the updated result. So once I accept it, oops, oh, we are in Spanish. We go to English, and yeah, you will see that these fields have been updated here. The alt text, the title, the keywords, and the description. So that was your image metadata extraction. So what I've shown you here is essentially Stream helping you in every step of creating a content catalog. And these are the features we have right now. That essentially brings me to the end of my demo. And with that, I think I also am done with my presentation. I'll now open the floor for questions. Happy to answer any doubts you may have.
Yep. Thanks, Vignesh. It was a nice demo, and it was really interesting to see what Sitecore Stream can do. Anybody on the call, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hands. I can unmute you guys. Otherwise, you can either contact me or Vignesh directly if you have directly any questions regarding Sitecore Stream. And also, like Vignesh mentioned, if you have anything to contribute towards the MCP, that also should be you guys can contribute it. So yeah, open for questions if any. I think Vignesh, there are no questions, but suppose if any questions come back, I'll just direct it to you.
Absolutely. And you have my contact info on the screen, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any clarifications. Okay.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vignesh, for your
Cool.
session. Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day.
Yep.
See you.